Hey, hi everyone, welcome to Raise. I'm Joe Budrow with Spectrum Non-GMO. And what we're going to do today is talk about soybeans. Look at these beans. We're going to talk about soybean health right now, okay? And tremendous looking beans here. Yeah, we've got some leaf feeding. Yeah, there's a little bit of disease pressure, but all in all, a very, very nice looking field of beans. And so what I want you to do is look at your own fields, okay? I think scouting is key to soybean health and to know exactly what's going on out there and exactly know what diseases is present, potential insects, and also maybe some weed pressure out here. So let's talk about soybeans. Let's talk about keeping the soybean foliage healthy. And when the soybean is basically coming out of the ground and growing up, we can take some defoliation of these leaves and still not affect the soybean. But when we get to this stage, when we've got pods coming on and we've got flowers here in the upper part of the canopy, it is critical to keep as much of these energy absorbing leaves intact as possible to get better seed fill, get more pods on these beans, increase your profit, increase your yield potential on these soybeans. So what can we talk about that potentially could be damaging these situations? And first of all, let's talk about some of the diseases, okay? Sudden death syndrome, associated with an earlier planting date, associated with compacted areas, also associated with soybean cyst nematode, okay? The soybean cyst nematode will eat on the root of the soybean plant. Here comes the Fusarium pathogen that causes sudden death. Here it comes into the plant. Okay, now here's the thing. You will not see this right off in the early growth stages. It's going to come on here at the reproductive stages. And so it can really shut down the plant. It can really reduce your yield potential of the whole field. A lot of times it's not every plant in every field, but it's in patches around the field. Look for compacted areas, look for near in-rows, those type of situations where you might see sudden death syndrome. And honestly, from the control standpoint right now, there's really nothing we can do for sudden death syndrome. It's in the soil, okay? So we can know this field, we can manage around it when we come back to soybeans in this particular field on your rotation, if that's what you're doing on your farm. So that's a little bit about sudden death syndrome. Let's talk about frog eye leaf spot. Now here is a disease that you can manage with fungicide application. We're seeing a little higher incidences in some of the Midwestern states. We've had the weather, we've had plenty of moisture, we've had high humidity, we've had heavy dews, temperatures a little warmer. So if you've seen frog eye leaf spot in your field in soybeans before in this particular field that you're rotating to beans, might be a prime candidate for fungicide application to control that potentially yield robbing disease, okay? White mold. Some of the reports I'm hearing on white mold, maybe not as pronounced as what we thought it was going to be. White mold is associated with very, very wet conditions, especially early on in the plant's life. We had that in a lot of areas. Now, I will tell you that some of the areas we had rain this spring, we planted soybeans a little bit later. Maybe we got a little bit out of those type of situations from the white mold, but it's still something worth mentioning. It's something to keep your eye out for when you're out here in the field. Other diseases that could come into play and particularly impactful here at this particular stage in the game, brown spot moves up from the bottom of the plant and comes up the plant, of course taking some of the leaves out of commission. And so if it's bad enough within the field, then we need to be looking at a fungicide application there too. So let's turn our attention now to some of the insects. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but here's a Japanese beetle right here on this soybean leaf. So one of the destructive insects that also is affecting the foliage, it is damaging the leaves from being able to absorb that sunlight into that leaf and produce energy for that bean plant to put more pods on, put more flowers on, fill those pods up with heavier seeds. So soybean bean leaf beetle is another devastating insect that can attack the bean leaf and cause some real issues from that standpoint. I might mention to you that some of the fields I've been in, we've seen some northern and western corn rootworm beetles attracted to these soybean fields. Probably not going to do a whole lot of damage to the soybeans, but be aware they're there because they're going to be laying eggs, and potentially if you're rotating to corn, we could see some corn rootworm pressure in these soybean fields. So I think also when we're out here scouting, we might be looking at soil fertility issues out there. Soybeans is a huge uptake of P and K later on in the season here at the reproductive stage. And so what I'm saying is that we probably can't feed that bean with enough P and K to maybe counterbalance what's going on with the deficiency, but it's worth noting, it's worth looking at from a soil test standpoint and try and improve as we go down the road on this situation. So, hey, we're proud to be with you here today. We're happy you're tuned in. We want to be with you all season long as we raise this crop.